So Katie asked if I wanted to do a caring and sharing, and I said absolutely, but I didn't know what I was going to do it on. And she asked if I wanted to talk about my son, and I said, well, absolutely. I could go all day talking about him. His name's Joaquin. He's 8 years old, and he's in 3rd grade, and he is the most joyful person you will ever meet. And he also is on the autism spectrum. So I'm going to talk about autism with you guys. So this picture right here, how many of you guys see a duck? Raise your hand. How many of you guys see a rabbit? Okay, this one in the middle. Who sees 2 faces? Who sees a vase?
Both of them, I
You
guess.
can see both of them?
Yeah.
How many see a frog? How many see a horse? So I wanted to kind of put this out there that there's different ways to see things, and autism is a lot like this. Now, I wouldn't say the person that sees a horse is wrong, because you can obviously see a horse. Just because you see a frog doesn't mean the person that sees a horse is wrong. And so I just kind of want you guys to think about that as we go along, that autism, it's a different way of thinking. It's not necessarily a wrong way of thinking, it's a different way of thinking. And once you start learning how to think like them, it's kind of fun. So my son has a label of autism, and I know a lot of people have issues with labels, but I would say ours is more positive than negative. For one, it taught us how to be better parents. We were working with a book for neurotypical kids, and I would say it'd do more harm to do that than to say that he has autism and get the autism book out and say, it's okay, he's not doing stuff at a certain age, he'll eventually do it, or this is what we need to work on. It also brought us therapy. It didn't change my son before we got the autism diagnosis. He's the same as before as he is after. What changed was that we have that label, how we can parent him, in therapy. If I don't have that label, I can't give him therapy. Doesn't change he has autism or not, doesn't change he needs therapy or not. Insurance will not help you unless you have a label. So that's helped us, and that's given us tools. As you can see, we have lists when we go to the store, we have headphones when we go places. It gives us tools that we never had before we started our journey. Safety is another bit. If I call 911 and say my son is wandered away, he's eloped, he's gone, he's missing, they also have a neurotypical book that they do, and they get that out. And the second most important thing I can tell them is he has autism. Because then they throw that book out and they bring the autism book. And the autism book says, don't come to the house, don't check out with friends, go to the local pool, lake, river, pond. The high risk of drowning when these kids elope and wander is very, very high. They also will start asking, does he know his name? Is he verbal? Is he okay being touched? Does he come towards loud noises or away from loud noises? This is very, very important. So it also helps him with his safety and also his future feelings. I never want my son to internalize there's something wrong with him, because there's not. He just sees the world differently. He sees a frog, I see a horse. We are both right. I'd never want him to internalize it. And so if eventually he's high enough functioning, he will know his diagnosis, that if he wants to be mad at the word autism or say it's autism, then I'd rather him do that than say there's something wrong with him. So autism's not a bad word at my house. We don't whisper about it. It's not something we cuss about. It's not an excuse. It's something we're not ashamed of. And just a funny note, so my son was diagnosed twice because of insurance purposes, but when he was diagnosed for his speech, he was almost 4 years old. He was under a 2-year-old level. So you've seen a 4-year-old could comprehend what a 2-year-old could comprehend. And before he started preschool, he thought his name was 3. By the end of preschool, he was able to maybe say 2 or 3 words. So it wasn't full-on sentences, it wasn't conversation, but he could string. And he can label things, but that didn't mean he could have a conversation. They're very different. So by the end of preschool, he had taught himself how to read. And we figured this out because his teacher went to test him. And as she's testing him, he's supposed to look at a picture and say, oh, Sally's playing with Joey on the playground, or come up with some kind of story, which is not his thing. Or it could have hints, like there's bear steps, so you think a bear's coming next. Subtle hints for autism's not their strong suit. So he struggled with that, but he started reading the page. And so the teacher figured out he could read. And she said, he's not doing it wrong. He technically has the right answer. He's just not doing it the way 99% of the kids are supposed to do it. So he left preschool, and the next level of reading would have been first grade reading. Couldn't have a conversation with you, but could read a first grade reading level. So that was very interesting. I say autism's not an excuse, because it's not. He can do dishes, he can do chores, he might need extra help, he might need to be shown how to do it over and over again. We're learning on pumping gas, because eventually I would love to have him pump gas and he could just sit there. So I'm thinking ahead. And he likes numbers, so him watching numbers with the gas going up is probably something he would enjoy. He's also starting to learn how to cook, so we're learning safety. Like, you don't do that at midnight when you're up. You have to have a parent with you. You have to learn how to do those things. He can go to our grocery store. Now, he might need a list. He might need headphones. He might need jewelry, which is this, which is, he can chew on it. It's safe to chew on, and it's like a necklace. So we have different tools. And down there, he is actually mowing his aunt's yard. Again, he can do it, but he needs headphones. So it's not an excuse. We just have to learn how to teach him the right way that he will learn and give him the tools that he needs to do it. So he does speech. He does speech twice a week. Right now he's 12 hours a week of therapy. During the summertime, he was at 20 hours a week of therapy. So at speech, he learned expressive and receptive. So me is expressing. Receptive is you guys are listening to me and can understand what I'm saying to you. He's doing problem solving, looking at a picture. The idea of giving a peanut butter and jelly sandwich to my son and tell him to make it is not, he's not to that point yet. He needs step-by-step directions. If he has step-by-step directions, then he can do it. Which, if you ever think you have good directions, give it to somebody with autism and they will prove to you that you do not have it exactly how it needs to be. And we also used to, they can do play skills. So up in the corner you see Allie trying to teach him how to play. We eventually got rid of that goal. It was something that it's not in his wheelhouse. So we started teaching him problem solving because he's getting older, so that he can go in and problem solve at school. So we tell people on the autism spectrum, you're autistic, you're in a box, there's something wrong with you. And I would argue autistic people probably see it this way. I'm autistic, which means everyone around me has a disorder that makes them say things they don't mean, not care about structure, drop weird hints, and creepy stares into my eyeballs. I would argue that's true. Again, are they wrong? No. For example, we're doing phrases at my house, so this is a lot of fun. Recently I said I needed to light a fire under my husband to get something done. I hear from the side, Mom, that is unsafe behavior, which I'm proud that he knows setting somebody on fire is not safe behavior. We're getting somewhere. But then I had to explain to him not to go to school, that I want to set people on fire, that I just want to get him motivated. Is he wrong? Did I say I was going to set somebody on fire? I absolutely did. But we say that he's the one that has the issue, when really, he's just listening exactly what I say. Another one was me and my husband were in a car, and we were talking about when we were in 3rd grade, and my husband said, yeah, they threw me under the bus. Now my son was in the back playing on his iPad, and every time you think they're not listening to you, they are. All of a sudden I hear, Dad, I never want to hear that again. Now I know that me and my husband are seeing the horse. I get what's going on. And I have to think about the frog. Oh, he thought somebody threw his dad under the bus. And I said, yeah, that would be very, very bad, and you are right, and if anybody were to ever do that, we would have to talk about safety. But what we really meant is this. So we're doing a lot of explaining. Pit in the stomach. One of his techs recently at his therapy said she was nervous about a test. She had a pit in her stomach. And she asked, do you know what that means? And he said, you have a baby in your tummy? She laughed, I laughed. I was like, sorry, that's how he interpreted it. Some other ones are eyes as cold as ice, hair that's white as snow. He thinks that's like snow in your hair. The other day I said, highlight, what's the highlight of your day? And he's verbal enough now, he's 8. He almost comes up to my shoulders. He says, I don't understand what you're saying, Mom. And I said, oh, well, what way could I say it that he would understand? And I said, what's the best part of your day? And he was able to say it. So I don't know if when I said highlight, he thought of highlighter in his mind, or it just didn't connect with him. The other day he told me somebody had a crush on him, and something told me I better ask if he knows what that means. And he proceeded, I said, do you know what a crush is? And he goes, yeah, crush. And I was like, no, people don't want to beat you up. That's not what they're trying to tell you. A girl likes you. So sometimes, and he had a plain face, like that's what he thought. He obviously wasn't upset about it. I was glad we had that conversation so he doesn't think people want to beat him up, that really it was a girl that liked him. Another instance, he recently had to go to the hospital a while back, and so he was with my sister-in-law. I come in, And the doctor comes in and says, Joaquin, who do we have with us today? And my son goes, oh, my Aunt Amanda and Sonya Beach. And I look at the doctor and I was like, AKA mom, you know. Is he wrong? No. That is my name. We have taught him my name. If he were to ever get lost, I would want him to find me faster than Sonya is going to find you faster than if I say mom, because there's many moms in different areas, you know. So he is not wrong. So sometimes I have to be like, or mom, you can call me mom, that's fine. And then, like I said, he's verbal, so we were sitting at McDonald's a while back, and he started all of a sudden asked his dad a question. Do you have competitive wages? And I was like, where did that come from? And I'm like, it was just random, and then I think he asked something else, and I realized that he was reading off the McDonald's hiring thing. He was using it in the right context, like, does his dad have the same benefits as McDonald's? But to hear really big words come out of little people, and you're like, okay. And so sometimes I've noticed if things pop up, what is he reading? Where is it at? Where is this coming from? Because it's just an odd kind of thing. So I just want to know, they don't have a problem. We are saying things and not meaning what we say. So I would argue we have more of the issue than they have the issue. My son does occupational therapy. So he works on his vestibular system, which if you've ever had vertigo or anything like that, your vestibular system's messed up. So it tells you where you are in space and place. And it's very important, which I never knew. If you see the picture right here, he is working on astronaut training. So that's where they spin them one way and spin them another way to help with the vestibular system. He's also in the blue one, he's in a big stretchy swing, working on that as well. And so OT's helped us with his hand strength. It's been 3 years. He can now hold a pencil. He can hold a utensil, but probably need a prompt because he holds it really awkward and really not right. Not right to me. It does the job, but I have to correct him. He's learning how to cook, which is daily living skills. They had to also teach him how to spit because he's also a choking hazard. I don't think he has sensory in his mouth correctly. He has to have completely full cheeks before I think it goes to his brain that he has food in his mouth. So the food I picked out for you guys talks about motor stuff. So there's chewing, which can help with that, and awakening your mouth, and doing applesauce with a straw, and there's just a whole bunch of different things that you can do to help with that. They taught him how to walk down steps. When we started, he would only go one step each foot. So now we did monster steps is what it's called, so he knows how to walk down steps right. They've worked on visual tasks. He doesn't need glasses. He just doesn't interpret things appropriately. So he's had to learn shapes and sizes. And he recently, it's been a year now, I got my first picture of family because they had to teach him how to draw a house, how to draw a person. And we're not talking like anything major, like just the simple square house and the rainbow and all that kind of thing. So he does OT twice a week as well. We do therapeutic, he did therapeutic listening, which is modulated music. So it's music that if we listen to sounds really wonky, but it helps with sleeping, it helps with going to the bathroom, it helps motor skills, it helps a lot of different things to get that corrected that maybe we couldn't do with other things. So music can do that. So if you were to visit us, depending on where you see us, these are some of the things you might see with my son. So, So right here, he has a stretchy sheet that he sleeps with. He likes to pull that over his head. He's always wanted stuff over his head. What's good about this is he's not going to suffocate himself. It's breathable. And it's compression. So if you've ever heard about Temple Grandin, she talks about compression. It's a compression. It gives him that hug, that snuggle that he needs. He also has a pea pod, which he's been sleeping a lot, and again, compression for him is a big piece. He's not one to not want to be touched. If anything, he's going to bump into you. He's going to want hugs. We've had to teach him that he has to ask for hugs, because what's cute at 5 is not cute at 15, and I don't want him to get himself into trouble with going to hug just everybody and not realizing that's not appropriate. So we've had to teach him asking for hugs. You might see weighted blankets. If you see us out on the parade, you're probably going to see headphones. These are the therapeutic headphones that he listens music to. This doesn't have any music to it. It helps with the sound. You might see jewelry that he's chewing on, weighted blankets. So we look a little bit odd when we're out in public, but again, it's just the tools so that he can be part of it's important for him to be part of the community with us. And then we have Grace, our new dog, and they're working to work together. We're hoping to maybe make her a service dog for him. So that means that she could do like pressure. Instead of a weighted blanket, we could use the dog. The dog could teach him how to stop for traffic, because safety is a big issue. He doesn't have safety like regular people do. So there's different things that service dogs can do. He also does ABA, or Applied Behavior Analysis, and they've helped with dressing, talking. These are some of the visuals that we do with him. So as you can see, we even had to have a visual how to brush your teeth, step by step by step. And the newest one is faces, so he can learn his faces to the words so that he can communicate with us, because if he gets overwhelmed, the first thing to go is his speech. And that's the first thing that we really need to know what's going on. So we give him the tools, if need be, that he can express himself. And it's really funny, so dressing, something that would be simple, most people don't think about, we have to go through a step. So I have to say, does he understand when I say get dressed, what dress means? If not, he has to go to speech. Speech has to teach him that. If he understands, okay, I say get dressed, this is what it means, then we have to go to OT. Can he do it? And for a long time he couldn't. He had to have help with zippers, buttons, clasp, pulling things up. That hand grasp that he's not really good with, you have to work on that thing. So then they go to that, then it becomes a behavior. Then he gets taught to actually how to get dressed. This is what we do when we get dressed, because I can do it. Now I have to work it out. They also helped with OT with buckling his seatbelt. That was something that just happened this last year, which was huge for us. So I didn't have to get out and get him buckled in. And they've helped with AB has helped with communication, visuals. They've taught him how to hand wash. I mean, there's just so many things that you don't think about. And with my son, he has to be taught both ways. So an example of this, we taught him light to dark and dark to light. There were two different programs. He was able to do light to dark, not a problem. Dark to light, he couldn't get. So that's the other thing. They might get it one way, and neurotypical people learn the trick of how to go backwards. That's not the case. At least with my son on the spectrum, you have to teach him both ways. And a lot of people think, well, he knows it this way. Well, you got to explain. You have to teach him the other way too, direct training. So there's MCC has also been part of our journey, and it's not because I'm alumni or that I work here and I love working here, but that MCC helped me bond with my son. So he was, I said, under 2-year-old speech. He could label things. He wasn't communicating. I see a toad. I need communication to bond with somebody. He does not. He's a horse. So I've had to learn creative ways to bond with him, especially early on. And MCC Trails was a perfect example. Whoever came up with numbers and colors, I am forever grateful, because my son loves numbers. So he would get engaged. He'd be like 12, and I could hear he use his voice. It might have been just for a minute, but 13. So we'd go do numbers. So he learned how to read a map really fast. And I got to enjoy being out in the woods and being with him. I also got to teach him safety out there. There's not a lot of going on. There's not cars. There's not overstimulation. So I taught him how to stop out there. He had to listen to my voice, stop. And then he would come back, stop, and come back. So then I can take him out in society where it's a little bit more crazy and he can understand what I'm saying. And then I love that it's not paved out there, because it's natural OT. It's uneven ground. So the first couple times we went out there, he did a lot of tripping. And then he also got to bond with me to learn. When mom says, watch out or look down, he did, because I had his best interest at heart. So there might be a root going there, and if you don't want to trip over, you better listen, because you're not usually looking at the ground when you're running or walking. So I will forever be grateful for that piece. He gave me a bond with my son. Also, safety. We're starting swimming classes here over at MCC Pool. And one day MCC could also be part of saving his life. The idea that he can elope and wander, even if it's at somebody's house or he's getting older, he's getting more independent, hopefully the skills that he's learning over there with Phil will save his life. So that could very much be part of our story later on. So I'm forever grateful for MCC for that stuff. When we're not doing therapy and we're not at school, which is most of our days, we do horses. And horses also have a lot of therapy ingrained in them that you don't realize. Everything from commands to holding reins a certain way. He has a dog with him on that one. Going backwards works at different parts of your brain. So if you're a stutterer and you go backwards, they say that you can talk normal. There's just something that your brain does. So he does horses. It's for fun, but there's a lot of therapy incorporated that isn't intentional. I'm also a leader of a group called MAPS in the county, Montcalm Autism Parent Support. You don't have to be in Montcalm County to be there. If you're in Ionia or Gratiot or Kent County, you're welcome. I just Montcalm is where we're at. We're in Greenville. We meet once a month on a Thursdays. 1 month it's just adults. The next month we let the kids come, then it's just adults, and then the kids come. So we get a little bit of both. Right here, September, we came up with sensory bags for the local school districts, and we got to be able to display those out to the inter-county for schools, for kids. Also, we got in July, we met a police officer. The chances our kids are going to meet police officers are very high, and the chances they're going to throw red flags is very high. They don't make eye contact, they don't answer quick enough, they might not understand the directions. It's a big deal. So my goal is that they know my son's face and he knows their face, because if they go missing, I want them to go to safety. I don't want them to be afraid of cops either, because that's very important. And also Michigan just recently added that you can put on your tabs it won't show on your license plate, but when they pull up your license plate, a police officer will be able to know you have somebody in your family with autism that's verbal, which is good for when we get stopped, so maybe it won't be as loud a noise, or they can dim their lights, or when he starts driving, that would be very beneficial, because he doesn't mean to throw those red flags. He just thinks his processing is a little bit slower, and it's not the cop's fault because they're trained that way. So my goal is to help each other out. And I got some books over here, just highly recommend, because we are in the library. Aching Joy was a life-changing book for me. Rex is another good book. He's blind and autistic. He's a savant. Not all autistic people are savants, but he is a savant. And when you're blind, you teach them through vision. Or when they're autistic, you teach them through vision. He's blind, so that doesn't work. And when they're blind, you teach them through sensory. He has autism, so that doesn't help. So it tells their story of him and his mom and how they got through. I got Forever Boy's Not Out. It's out in April of next year. I followed Kate Swanson for quite a long time, and I got it pre-ordered. I'm excited about reading it. But Autism Month is in the month of April, so it's kind of great that that's coming out at that time. Resources, just if you're curious, Autism Alliance of Michigan, I highly recommend. We got a GPS for my son through there. ARC, we go to Kent County because we don't have one here in Montcalm County, but I have had advocates come to IEPs with me, and it's made a difference. National Autism Association, you have a brochure. They had some really good stuff on their website to check out. I got Montcalm Care Network. Autism Speaks is another one people go to. One I forgot to put on here is Spectrum Expressions, which is new. It's the person that runs maps with me is running it, and it's art, so they can send art to kids on the spectrum who have been affected, and that was really cool. He got to do that, and he had to go talk to people, and he had to take money, and it was really good for him to be out in public. So this is the face of autism, my story, and any questions?
Well, first of all, you're an amazing speaker. I feel like I feel like we have an untapped resource here on campus. You're really amazing.
Oh, thank you.
And I thought that the slides that you started with really helped me kind of get my paradigm.
I hope so.
That was wonderful. I'm curious, why is it all people with autism tend to wander? You mentioned that a few times, and then you also mentioned about, lakes and pools and things. So I'm just trying to understand that piece.
49% of autistic people will wander or elope from a safe environment. So about half. 7 to I think 10 or 7 to 11 is a high risk. So my son's at a high risk right now. They get more independent. They decide to wander. They tend to go to lakes. So they tend to drown. Mm-hmm. And if they don't drown, they're probably going to go and get hit, because again, safety is something they struggle with. They see the world as a beautiful. My son is the most joyful person in the world. I wish I could be more like him. He doesn't see bad, and so he might go with a stranger if I don't teach him not to. He would probably go to a lake. So one of the flyers I pointed out to you guys talks about lakes. You don't come to the house. You go to the nearest possible problem that they're gonna be, and it's lakes. So about 50% wander. And a lot of them don't get found.
Is he attracted to water at home, like bathtubs?
Are you kidding me, Michelle?
He used to have issues of getting him in the bath, and then when he's in the bath, he likes being in the bath. They say even if they don't like water, to still go look to lakes because they're drawn to it. Recently he has flooded my house. So he's in 3rd grade. He has a 6th grade reading level. He's extremely smart. His memorization is what has found you. He loves football. He can tell you stats. but forgot to turn off the water. It ran from 9 o'clock at night to 6 in the morning.
Holy crap.
It has flooded my house. So I have insurance and been dealing with that. So that's what's kind of hard because autism doesn't have a look to it. It has mannerisms. You might see him flap. You might see him chew. You might see certain things, or you talk to him and something doesn't seem to be clicking. And they can be extremely smart, but that doesn't mean they don't realize you have to look both ways when you cross. That doesn't mean they know they have to turn things off, turn stoves off. So some of that can be. So we're working on safety right now at my house because he's getting older. I have stop signs at my house too, so that he knows he has to wait for a big person to go outside. Because at one point he would just open the door and he wants to go outside. What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
But he doesn't have that fear. Like I could say, bye, see ya. He doesn't go, oh, I'm gonna go come back. He'll be like, see ya, bye. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that doesn't work.
There was a woman out there a long time ago, I forgot her name, like she achieved many things in her life.
Is it Temple Grandin maybe?
Yeah.
Yep. She's a picture thinker. She does a lot for the autism community.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, he might do wonderful things.
Oh, I think he's extremely smart. And some people will say, he's smart, so he can't have autism. Autism is a spectrum. It doesn't matter on the IQ. It doesn't matter. I think he's cute. All the kids I've met on autism spectrum are cute, but they don't have a look to them, and sometimes that throws people off. I think he loves numbers. He knows how to read. Academically, he's way advanced. So we have to teach him like how to even eat. You have to eat a quarter. We used to put a quarter in our table, so it was a visual for him. You have to eat quarter bites because you're a choking hazard and things happen. So
Someday you'll have to ask Sonya to show you the pictures of her house, just because we had to pray over this.
yeah, I think we're up to like $20,000 of damage. Yep.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah.
And he's really smart and very. I mean, I think he'll be able to probably live on his own or some independent, but it won't be at 18. And I was told that he will have a later onset of adolescence. So he might be 20, 22 and showing adolescent signs. And that's really hard to try to explain to people because then it just looks like we do teach him at home, but he's just delayed.
Yeah.
So when he gets older, there will have to be certain measures taken in place when he's 18. Not to take complete rights away, but he's vulnerable for people taking his money. He just thinks everybody is nice and some of those details. So.
Does he go to regular school plus all this therapy?
Yes. So he goes to he's in general education. He's only pulled out for OT and speech. He's like academically, he's way ahead. The pandemic did not hurt us. At this point, he's struggling with things being too easy, like he's doing adding and subtracting, and when he thinks he's mastered something, well, why do I have to do it? Like, this is too simple. We worked on multiplication with him. We're on division. He was excited about division. Like, he wants more challenge. And when he has challenging things, they say he's fine at school. So he likes the challenge. But no, he's in general education. I pull him out 3 days a week, a little bit early, and we go to Midland. So we drive over about an hour and a half away from here. So it's about 2.5 hours drive. And he does 4 hours of therapy there and then comes home and we start all over again. So, in the summer he was doing 20 hours.
What
so
do you do if you're a parent that can't do that?
it's hard.
Wow.
We do have.
That's why they're the support groups that Sonya
Yes.
was talking about. And
There is a place locally that does CARD. They've just been around for the last couple of years kind of thing. But the place that he goes to has occupational, speech, and ABA all in one spot so they can talk to each other versus having somewhere in Grand Rapids, try to talk to somebody in Lansing, to try to talk to somebody over here. And we live in Montcalm County. There are resources. That's why I want people to come to my group so we can tell you what there are. But they are limited. I mean, we live in Montcalm County, so we go to Midland for his therapy.
other questions? Okay, Sonya, if you'll just stay right there.
Okay.
Jim Fatka was so kind to reach out. He was excited to know that Sonya was going to be talking on this topic, and he introduced me, not directly, but through an email and a conversation to Cassie. So Cassie, if you want to stand up and...
Yeah, just right here. Do you want me to?
You could walk right up there if you didn't mind. I could get you on the camera and kind of stand there right in front of the
I
screen.
think this is a good segue to
Yeah.
talk about this because there isn't a lot of resources, and on top of everything that she's already mentioned, I'm a board certified applied behavior analyst. So I provide the behavioral services she's talking about. And I grew up in Greenville, and I knew there was a need here. There just isn't a lot, and it's fairly new to Michigan. I think only in the last 7, 8, no, maybe a little longer, maybe 9 years. Applied behavior analysis has been here.
Well, insurance as well, just recent, like Medicaid and stuff,
Yeah.
didn't have final codes because it's not traditional therapy is what they call it.
Yeah.
But now they're now seeing that it does work, and so ADA
Yeah.
is now taking off.
And we're expanding and providing services for more and more diagnoses. So before, you really had to have some significant impacts of your autism in order to get ABA, and children who could have a conversation with you weren't qualified for ABA. So now we're really moving in that direction, and I think more services are going to come. But we've recently started providing services, ABA services, in this area, and I've provided you guys with a brochure, so all the counties that we serve are listed there. Right now, we're primarily in-home. We do have an office building we just got a hold of in Stanton, so we'll be able to provide some services there. We focus most of our therapies in-home, and our goal is not to cure anyone of autism, because I think autism is a very unique and special qualifying feature of individuals. I would never try to cure anyone of brown hair or blue eyes. It's just part of who they are. So we're more about trying to help families and supportive people and individuals with autism to gain those skills to help them live, their fullest life, their most potential. So that's what we're here for, and we love to do. We don't have speech and OT, but that is the goal.
Most places don't, so
Yeah.
that's not unusual.
Yeah, we're hoping to get a hold of some speech and OT so that we can provide that service as well to these farther out there communities that don't have, big cities have a lot.
And you're still waiting about a year probably to get a diagnosis.
Wow.
And certain insurances sometimes tell you have to go to certain hospitals,
Yeah.
certain diagnostics to get those done. And if you're a girl, it's probably going to take longer,
Why is
Why?
that?
because the testing that they do is made for boys kind of thing.
It's-
And you have to be very severe on the autism spectrum for a girl to get
Yeah.
a diagnosis at a younger age, where they're
But-
like nonverbal.
That is
The
interesting.
diagnosis was developed from a sample of young boys who were exhibiting similar characteristics, which is why it's kind of taken so long and expanded over years and years. For girls with autism, they exhibit different symptoms, or their symptoms look different, but they do have autism. It just is.
They might be able to copy, be able to
Mhm.
copy where boys can't, and then until they get like
Yeah.
adolescence, then you kind of notice that.
Yeah, and they
It's
do
not.
believe that there's some social reasoning for that just in general for young women, the way that us as a society nurtures young women, even from young children, is we have this expectation of social engagement, where boys, we don't have that expectation. So there's a lot of reasons why girls have, we aren't able to pin that right down.
Is that maybe when we say, well, let boys be boys or something? Is that what you're talking about?
One of the worst things, and people mean well, and I understand it, boys are later to talk, yes. But I would recommend that you tell somebody, but check with your doctor, because
Perfect.
that is an example. Or boys are a little bit more behind than girls, so it's okay. But when you're a parent, you don't want to think anything's wrong. I always recommend, yeah, there's some truth to that, but go talk to your doctor, because like I said, it could take a year to get diagnosed. And then you could take even close to a year to find a place that insurance, they have to do all these paperwork. I mean, you can't just get in. It's quite a thing to even get the therapy.
Yeah, unfortunately.
How early did you know that something might not be? Was it the speech thing that kind of tipped you out?
Well, I thought there's, so I have a niece that's 2 months older than my son. She's a girl. My mom's like, boys are a little bit delayed. I always thought there was something a little bit off, but he's my first, so I was, well, okay, And finally one day I said, but he's not doing what she was doing 6 months ago. And speech was the one thing that triggered our looking into what was going. He was 3 and still wasn't communicating, so speech was our big thing.
Any other questions for either Sonya or Cassie? Okay.
So good.
Bravo.